Hey guys, Professor Bill of Comic Book University, and I am here for another Nerdarchy takeover, and we're going to be doing a little bit of magic, some sympathetic magic, and thaumaturgy, and ritualistic magic, and let's just get right into this, okay? We're going to be talking about how to make John Constantine, and we're also going to be talking about how to make the House of Secrets, all right, the House of Mystery. All right, so for now, let's just get into Constantine himself. We're going to make this guy a regular old human. Okay, we're going to give him the background of charlatan, because when he uses his magic, when he's just a character out and about, he's usually using charlatan abilities in order to get his way out, whether it's a high demon or it's just some lowly thug. He's usually using some kind of deception, some kind of debauchery. It's his cunning that's at work, not his regular old, cast a zap zap. But at the same time, he is a master level sorcerer. Now, the character changes throughout his fairly long history, okay? We're going to get into his play style in a moment. First, let's just actually get the character out. First off, we're going to make him a wizard. Okay, he does not have any natural spell casting ability. We have people like that in the DC universe, even in the Marvel universe. So you'll have, the Warlock Pact, like the Demon Etrigan would easily have with Jason Blood and his natural magic abilities. You'll have Zatanna, who is, a sorceress in almost every shape of the word. But then you've got an actual wizard, a true-to-life wizard, pure and simple, for the most part, in John Constantine. And how high or low you want his levels to be is going to be up to you and what level you want. Like, are you going to be the DM who's running this John Constantine, the mission that this John Constantine player character wants to be? Or are you going to be the PC who's actually playing John Constantine? You have to determine for yourself which version of John Constantine do you want to be, which power level, because every writer has written him at different levels, at different power levels. But one thing you're definitely going to want to do is consider giving him some bard ranks, okay? In the New 52 version, he was in a punk rock band for a while, you know what I'm saying? And he's definitely got that bardic ability of, smooth, that silver tongue, smooth talking, schmoozing people, getting people to do what he needs them to do, just conning people, you know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of bard that he would be. So give him 2-3 levels of that, maybe 4 if you want to get funky with it, but Wizard's going to be his main go-to. Now, as far as his advantages, his feats, I'm thinking Magic Initiate and Ritual Caster would be the 2 ones. That's actually the one thing I got the book out here for, the player's book. The way that I look at this is John Constantine is a master level wizard. Okay, but he can dabble in anything you can imagine. So allowing him to have the ability to cast 2 cantrips and a first level spell from all of the different types of magic. Okay, so Druid, Warlock, he's already got Wizard and Bard. Like whatever else you want to throw at him, give it to him. Give him everything, because he's definitely dabbled in it. On top of that, the ritual ability. He's cast powerful spells before in ritual format before. Spells that aren't necessarily in the Dungeons & Dragons world a ritual. All right? He stopped time as a ritualistic spell. I'm just saying. This guy is so powerful, though. The things that he can do, that he's actually first, necromancy is one of the things he does. Divination is one of the things he does. Conjuration. Not only can he conjure demons from hell, he's actually created his own demons. Just, I made this guy. It's a solid mass. It's absolutely crazy some of the stuff that this guy has done. All right, created golems and just astral projection. So to get a range of what he can do, you name it, he can probably do it. All right, he can kill demons with a look. He's got a spell that will do that. So just determine, do you want him to be a just starting off Constantine, the punk rocker Constantine or an old, aged, wizened Constantine. John Constantine is one of those few characters. Not too many people know this unless you've actually been reading him avidly. Is that I believe he's the only character in history up until the New 52 when he got blended in with the regular DC universe. That Constantine was, I believe, the only character who actually aged in real time. You know, like Spider-Man, Peter Parker could still be in high school to this day if they didn't choose to move him along. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, Ben Grimm and, served in World War II. They just sliding time scale up that. The Punisher served in Vietnam, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? Captain America being thawed out from World War II is one thing, but like a guy who's still alive who was in Vietnam, that's saying something. So John Constantine, if 5 years passed in the comic books, or in the real world, 5 years passed in his world. So like his first issue, I think that he was 25 or something like that, and then he was 30, literally 5 comic book years later, 5 actual real-time R years later. So and then 200 some odd issues later, he was 60 years old. They didn't play around with that. They actually aged him in real time. So that was one of the really amazing things about this character. So make sure that you're going to, determine how you're going to play him, which version, which age of this character are you going to play John Constantine. He's a great one. And also, as far as his power levels are concerned, this is important. While he is one of the most powerful sorcerers out there, he's often also considered one of the smartest sorcerers out there while not being one of the most powerful. You see, characters like, as I said, Jason Blood, the Demon Etrigan, and Zatanna, they've got innate magical abilities that kind of permeate within them. His is all learned and at great price. Anybody who becomes a friend of John Constantine usually ends up dead. All right? Vampire murdered his friend, murdered a guy right next to him. Didn't actually know the guy. But Vampire murders guy, looks at Constantine and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, was that a friend of yours?" Constantine's only response with his stoic gaze was, "Must have been. He's dead." It's like, that's Constantine. You're going to do this. Have some serious, morbid fun with this character. All right? People die around him all the time. You want to have this character do a solo mission? Perfect character to do that with, because player characters might find themselves hurt. Anyway, here's something. For crying out loud, I don't remember his name. The Jim Butcher character. Somebody will say in the comments if I don't remember it beforehand. But Dave loves him. A whole bunch of people love him. This character is often known as an extremely powerful, innate magic user, but his knowledge isn't that great until the comic books continue on. Then becomes like the Lord of Frost or something like that. I've heard the stories. People talk to me about the character all the time. Crying out loud, what the heck was his name? Jim Butcher created this guy. I remember the author. I don't remember the guy's name. Not important. So John Constantine is oftentimes considered the exact antithesis of that, in that he has so much knowledge, which is why most of his magic is cast ritually. But the trick is that he doesn't have that innate magical ability. So oftentimes a spell will be above his level. That's why he'll cast in a ritual form and will wind up hurting other people. So it can have some kind of a wild magic effect. Consider that. All right? That's John Constantine. You make sure you keep these kinds of ideologies in mind, and then you should be able to run this character with the idea. I was going to say with no problems. I'm wrong. The more problems you have with the character, the better off he is. That's more true to form than you could possibly imagine. Okay, let's get on to some actual comic book action, guys. There's a whole lot of number ones that came out. First off, Deadpool. Scotty Young, he's usually an artist, but here he's writing. And he's written before. He's written for a Rocket Raccoon comic book, but Deadpool issue number 1. So if you want to jump on a Deadpool comic book, here's a great time to jump on the character from issue 1. Also, Doctor Strange. This is written by Mark Waid, the guy who did Kingdom Come. Yeah, that guy. The story is different. He's lost his power very quickly into this comic book. It's 7 years in the future, and he's got to use technology to get to another planet to try and find to other planets, but he starts at one to try and find where his missing mojo is. Yes, $1 million. Is it too much to ask for freaking laser beams in the eyes of the sharks? For crying out loud. Can we try and get me a volcano? Okay, I'm moving on. So, I'm not D&Dizing those guys. Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. So, Justice League, issue number 1. All right. Scott Snyder is writing this. One of the best Batman writers ever. He wrote The Court of Owls, case in point. This guy right here... This is a heavily action-packed comic book where the main focus is on Martian Manhunter, but all these characters get like some shining moments in here, but it is mostly a Martian Manhunter comic book. He's the chairman right now of the Justice League. This is going to branch out into a bunch of other Justice League books, including Justice League Dark. I'm expecting to see John Constantine there, just saying. But I felt that, you can go and check out all of my individual reviews for this, but I felt that this was a very heavy comic book that needed to be paced a little bit better and needed to be slowed down at certain parts because it felt like there was adrenaline even when everybody was just sitting down and talking. So there's that. Okay. Here's another issue 1. The Immortal Hulk, issue number 1 by Al Ewing. Listen, the Hulk just came back from the dead. He was just killed like a year and a half ago, 2 years, whatever. He was killed. And he's back, and we realize that he can never truly die. He is immortal, and he's also wicked in here. Okay, this is basically the Hulk going after a biker gang that wound up killing a couple people in a gas station robbery. This is Alfred Hitchcock-style horror, not Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger-style horror, where it's just hack and slash. No. This is like Alfred Hitchcock style. There's the slow moving, vampire that's moving towards you. There's the Frankenstein's monster that will kill the little kid just, because. This is all that crazy old style horror that I think that you're going to dig. I loved this. All of the comic books that I read this week were tainted by this one because it was just so good. Okay, Infinity Countdown, issue number 4 of 6. This is a prequel to the Infinity Prime comic books. This is interesting because Rocket Raccoon doesn't actually meet up with Galactus here, but Galactus actually turns from the Lifebringer to the Devourer again, and it kind of sets a bunch of things in the cosmic scale of the Marvel Universe back to a previous format. So if you're interested in the cosmic Marvel comics, then this is a kind of a crucial issue to get. Kind of seminal. Issue number 48 of Batman. This is the best man. Joker found out that Batman and Catwoman are getting married, and he wants to be the best man, and he's going to kill a bunch of people to show why he should be the best man. Doesn't make sense? It's because it's the Joker. Mind you, do not read this expecting this to be a great Batman comic book. It's not. It's a great Joker comic book, though. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the House of Mystery. So, the House of Mystery is a haunted house, basically, sentient, oftentimes considered sentient. We're not entirely sure. It does need a caretaker. The first caretaker was Kane. Yeah, that Kane. The next one that we know of was Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark. That only happened for a little while, then DC lost the license to be able to use her, so funny how that works. And John Constantine became the house owner for a very, very long time, the caretaker. Currently, I believe it's Zatanna. Anyway, so John Constantine won the House of Mystery in a card game. Now, to give you an idea, the House of Mystery is an important part of the DC universe. It was actually a what the heck are they called? And not an omnibus, but anyway, it was one of those kinds of comic books that had a whole bunch of different stories in there that weren't necessarily related to each other. All right, the House of Mystery used to tell all these different horror stories for comic book readers to get their grubby little hands on and be scared at night. A lot of them were really scary. They were great. It was a great series. All right, so the House of Mystery exists on both the Earth plane and the Dreaming. So, yeah, think about like Sandman and all that crazy stuff. We don't know if it exists on other planes also. I've often speculated it exists in many places at once, many locations at once. So multiple entrances, multiple exits can really mess you up. Now imagine if this is almost like a planescape sort of hub, right? So on the earthen plane, at least, right across from it is the House of Secrets. Now the House of Secrets is managed by Abel. Yes, that Abel. And it's very similar to the House of Mystery. There's like a graveyard in between them. That's like the weirdest thing. But the House of Mystery is a haunted house. Now, to get you started on what you should be able to do with this haunted house, and mind you, it's more of a sentient house than a haunted house, but I would say that its haunted features are more of its defense mechanism. Okay, the House of Mystery is much more powerful than any version of John Constantine. That needs to be understood. The House of Mystery should not ever be truly owned by a player character, even if it's Constantine or if that player is playing Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, like whatever, I'm just saying. But the House of Mystery is an uber artifact style, like giant-sized artifact sort of thing. The Castle Ravenloft has nothing on the House of Mystery. All right, just as long as we're clear on that. I'm talking like Temple of Elemental Evils levels frightening. All right, with this thing with not quite as much humor, but it could be. It could be. The best video that I found on this, I actually tried to go outside of Nerdarchy to see if there was something else I could recommend to give you your best haunted house scenario. Unfortunately, it was, well, I don't know about unfortunately, it was indeed a Nerdarchy video. Nerdarchy does it right. That's one of the reasons why I'm here. But legit, go and check out the Terrible Terrain haunted house. Just look that up at Nerdarchy. So type in Nerdarchy haunted house terrible terrain. Boom, it'll bring you right there. It's an older video. Nerdarchist Ryan is there. That's how old that video is. Anyway, go and check that out. It'll give you a whole bunch of good ideas. I would recommend also adding poltergeists. I would add whatever you need. And yes, it would be an intelligent weapon, so to speak. Again, the house does seem to need a caretaker. We're not entirely sure why, though. Constantine has gotten himself out of a lot of trouble by getting himself into the house, and all of a sudden, oh, you're screwed up now, bad guy who chased me into here, because now the house is going to house you. He never said that. He should have said that. It's not British humor. The final note on John Constantine would have to be, remember, the creator of Constantine, Alan Moore, a self-professed real-life wizard. He's a mage. He is a thaumaturgist, if you will. This cat, he created John Constantine the day after he unveiled the character. He says he was sitting in a sandwich bar. Oh, God, a sandwich bar. I would love that concept. Anyway, I think it's just called a deli back in Jersey. Regardless. So, you have, he was sitting in there eating a sandwich, and a guy walked in who he swears was John Constantine. Looked just like him. Short cut, blonde hair, long trench coat. Came up with a cocky attitude, came up the stairs, stopped, looked dead at Alan Moore, smiled, and gave a little conspiratorial head nod, and then walked to the other side of the bar. The entire time he was finishing his sandwich, he's thinking to himself, I should go over there and I should, talk to this guy. Like, what's going on? But he's like, this is stupid. Why would I do that? So he just leaves. He met him some other time. That was interesting. And he's not the only one. Other writers have also claimed that they have met John Constantine when they were writing John Constantine. So that should hopefully put you in an even better mood to understand how this Constantine character should be played. He is either extremely powerful or not, but either way, he's extremely knowledgeable. He is an occult detective. So if you've got a good detective story to throw at a player, and this could be a one-shot, this could be an ongoing, but it could also be a solo adventure. You could do a Justice League Dark where you've also got Etrigan, you've got Swamp Thing, you've got, what's her name, Zatanna. You know what I'm saying? You got all these other magic-using characters. Absolutely. You want to have John Constantine be the guide, like you as the judge, sorry, Marvel FASERIP in my head. You as the DM, all right? Whatever game master, okay? You actually run him as an NPC who's going to guide and lead these characters, possibly to their death, all right? He's going to give them safe passage through the House of Mysteries if you want, anything like that. John Constantine should be as mysterious a character as possible, trying to figure out occult mysteries. And maybe he's got too much on his plate right now, and he's hiring the player characters, the party, for some minor stuff, minor for him. Okay, so play him as not a sadistic and not a masochistic Elminster, but an Elminster where everything seems to go wrong for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, something to that effect. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.